let's go through my list. Okay, so top, I have 369. I think that this is like, this has to be your top pick. 369 smurfed in all the most important matches. He was good throughout the whole split. He smurfed in all the crucial matches. He was able to like play well. Even when he was behind, he was playing well. And he wasn't behind because he was just laning poorly. Like, he's playing well from disadvantaged circumstances, like really good flanks, insane team fighting. This guy fucking smurfed. I don't know how you can see like Zeus. Like I agree, Zeus is good. Zeus's worst matches were probably in finals. I think Zeus's worst matchups were in finals, and I think that Zeus like kind of was suffering based on how the team decided to play, because I mean essentially he just went weak side every single game, and part of people and like there was interviews where apparently he said he wanted to be weak side or whatever. I don't fucking care about any of that. It just, the reality of the situation is that the Zeus that you saw in the first half of the split was not the Zeus that you saw towards the second half of the split, which is probably more important. And then playoffs, like Zeus was just not anything super special to me. I mean, what his finals, like he was super quiet in the finals, man. Yeah, I think Zeus is probably the best part about T1, but I don't think he performed at the level that you would expect in the later series. All right, next I have Wayward. I still think Wayward is really good. It's probably the best Gnar player on this list, I would say. He's super solid. Yeah, I mean, he played well in finals. Honestly, top might have won the finals if Wayward played all the matches and they didn't do that random Chintian sub for game 1. All right, 3, I have Zeus. 4, I have Breathe. Breathe is so disrespected, bro. Breathe is so insanely disrespected. He gets on by his team. His team is like, yeah, just 4-man dive and we don't give a fuck. Yeah, fuck that guy. Yeah, he's playing a carry versus carry matchup, but just let him die. Just let him die. Oh, he got dove again? Oh, okay. Well, whatever. I mean, he'll probably be fine. Then he comes back in all those matches and is relevant. This guy is so fucking good. This guy is so good. His team does not play around him well at all. Maybe he gets some of the blame for that because maybe he's not good at communicating with his team as to like what he needs in order to take over games. But for me, like, I don't know. I think this guy is insane. And also, like, the fucking confidence this guy has is crazy. Playing into one of the best Jax players, Ale, in game 5, when you're about to get reverse swept for the second time, pulling out Fiora, blind into the guy that you know plays Jax, taking that matchup head on, and making, like, game-winning plays. This guy is fucking insane. This guy is really fucking insane. All right, and next, we have Flandre. Zeus greater than Breathe? That's tough for me. I mean, the problem with this is like, Breathe didn't play that well in regular season when Zeus played really well in regular season. And then like Breathe, I mean, he's just like never actually in positions where he can carry the game. So I don't know. It's hard. It's hard. But I have Zeus over Breathe for my list. I have Flandre here as well because I don't understand why people are putting Doran on this list. I feel like Doran is the only reason Gen.G ever loses games. Like look at Gen.G as a team. Look at Gen.G as a team. They're literally like top 2 or top 3 worldwide in every other role outside of top lane. To me, Doran is literally the ghost of Gen.G. He's the ghost of Gen.G, where because he's on such a good team, people don't want to rate him too low, and like he just gets a bunch of credit that he doesn't deserve for like not running it or like doing what the team needs, where I don't even know what, like, you know what the team needs? The team needs a good fucking top laner. That's what the team needs. They don't need him to like lose lane. Like he could just play better. Like there would be no harm in him just being in the same situations, not taking resources, not taking draft resources, playing the same champions, but just playing better. He could play the same champions the same way 369 does. People have this weird obsession with like when a team is really insane, all 5 players have to be like really good. Where I think that sometimes that is the case. There are times where like a team is dominant and all 5 players are like, you know, some of the best players in the world. I think that can happen, but I think that the people are just way too high on a player like Doran, who is like solid. I mean, his stats are good and shit, but like, of course your stats are going to be good. Your team's just fucking winning. Like your team is just consistently winning. I'm just not a huge fan of Doran. Like if I was going to put an LCK, so I had 2 people here that I was actually deciding between. I had Flandre here, and then I was actually deciding between Flandre and Nuguri. I don't know. I think Nuguri is just better than Doran. I know Nuguri was playing like weak side a lot, but I mean, even in the games, like I don't know what's going on with Dom1. Nuguri will be subbed in. He'll play well, and then he'll just get benched the next game. Yeah, I mean, Nuguri only plays like half the games, but I mean, the thing is that I feel like Nuguri is playing just better than Bertel. I mean, I guess the reason why Bertel comes in is because Bertel's the one that's playing the carry champions now. I guess that's the idea there, is that it's like the sword and shield type thing where the shield is Nuggery now, which is funny considering that this guy was like, you know, at one point one of the best Jace players in the world, one of the best carry tops in the world. And Burden is like the sword. But yeah, jungle. First up, everyone knows who it is. It's the fucking GOAT, bro. He is the fucking GOAT. He's the GOAT for a reason. This guy played so well, man. This guy played so fucking well. What can jungle do, bro? He plays a dog role. He gets his team ahead every single fucking game. He completely gapped Kadavi in the finals. Even game 5 of the finals, he's gapping Kadavi. Even game 5 of the semifinals, he gapped Kadavi. He's gapping him all day long, but his team just runs it down. Jackie Love just hates him. Jackie Love just hates Tien and doesn't want Tien to be recognized for the fucking GOAT he is. He has a personal vendetta against Tien, and he is ruining his legacy in front of our very eyes. That is what's happening. Used to be a Tien hater. Did he 1v9 that hard this year? He played so well all year. I was the #1 Tien hater. And look, at Worlds, maybe he fucking chokes again. Maybe he just runs it down and is complete shit at Worlds. If that happens, then maybe he's just a Worlds choker. The level of play that he was able to display, and especially just like the thing about Tien is he's so fucking smart, bro. Every single matchup, depending on all the different pathing that like the enemy jungler could have with the laners, he'll always come out with some weird ass path that is going to absolutely destroy the enemy jungle. He's so fucking smart about the game. Like that is a jungler where you know, whenever I'm watching him play, I'm like, Jesus, like it's not even mechanics, bro. It's not mechanics at all. He is just too smart. So yeah, I mean, that's just the GOAT to me. Like he's just the best jungler. He was the best jungler in the world. Dom turned from a Doonby lover, a Tien hater, to the opposite. That's how good the GOAT is. I mean, I just respect that type of pathing because, or that type of gameplay, because to me, that's the best part about being a jungler is if you're just smarter than the enemy jungle, it doesn't come down to mechanics or anything. If you just make correct plays, like you're going to be able to get a lead. This guy played really, really well. He deserves that #1 spot. All right, next up, I have Kadavi. I think this is debatable. And this is kind of where I think like this is like the 10 to 15% that I said of this list that is going to be like prediction going into Worlds based on meta, based on what we're going to see. You could put Peanut here. If you're doing pure summer performance, I would have Peanut here. If you're doing the way that I'm doing it, which is like mostly summer performance, but then also a little bit of prediction going forward, I think Kadavi might actually end up benefiting the most from the changes. Things like Hecarim coming in. If carry junglers actually come in, I think it would be great. Kadavi is just, I mean, he was really good. He's somebody who plays really well from ahead. The flaw of Kadavi is when he's behind, he doesn't do as well as, you know, other junglers. Like, he's not good at being like a complete dog, but he can snowball harder than pretty much anyone else. I still think he's a monster. Obviously, he got run by Tien in the finals and semifinals for the most part, almost every game. But I still think he's really good. He's really good. All right, next up, gotta say Peanut. Have to put Tien here, or you have to put Tien over Peanut, in my opinion, because like Peanut was a little bit overly safe at times when I was watching him. Like there's times where he's just sitting back and scaling because he has really insane lanes. Like he's benefiting from the fact that he's playing with Chovy, and Chovy's like essentially always winning lane these days. I think that the meta was like perfect for Gen G, by the way. I think Peanut benefited from playing with a really like, yeah, really insane team for the meta. But I don't think that he'll be able to translate that super well into Worlds. I mean, I'm kind of a Peanut hater as well. Like, I'm just gonna, like, I'll declare my bias. I mean, obviously, this whole list for every single person is gonna be biased. I'm just saying what I think. I've never thought Peanut was, like, that insanely good. He played really well this season, but, like, I wouldn't be surprised if in the meta that we're about to go into, which, you know, now that if Lee Sin gets buffed, right, people are gonna want to play Lee Sin. People are gonna be wanting to play Hecarim. Like, that's essentially spring split meta. I wouldn't be surprised if Owner actually played better than Peanut. I mean, that's just what I think. All right, next up, I have JJ. So JJ didn't get to play all the games, but when he played, he was really good. He also got kind of like screwed by his team because he didn't get a fair chance to really play full series, right? Like his team would go down 0-2 and then he would get subbed in Gauntlet, and then he would have to bring his team back. But I think that especially like the Vi pick on junglers that scale more, I think that's what really benefits JJ. He's not as good as Tien, Kadavi, and Peanut when it comes to like being a level 3 dog walking around the map. Like if you want that, then you just play Junjia every single game instead of JJ. But if like you're playing level 6 junglers, like Vi was really core in the meta, this was something that I thought was really well played by JJ. So I still think he's really good. Yeah, respect him a lot. That's my next up. All right, after this, might be mildly controversial. I don't think it's that controversial. I've got Canyon as 5th. Now, Canyon had a really rough summer split. He had a really rough like early part to the summer split. I think he got better as time went on. Like the first half of the split, I think was probably the worst first half of the split he's ever had. But like he started looking like Canyon again to me towards playoffs, towards Gauntlet. Like he started looking like Canyon again. And this is like somebody who I personally rate as probably like the best jungler of all time, or like in that conversation, which doesn't really factor too much into this list. But with the 15%, 10 to 15% that I think is going to be like, how is he going to do going forward? I think that combined with how he was looking towards the end of playoffs, like I think this guy will be really good. I didn't want to put Way here. And I also didn't want to put Owner. I feel like Owner was like really lost on the map this split. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like I feel like Owner, I don't know if he's just like in his own head or something, but when I watch Owner play, I feel like he's the opposite of Tien, where like he just doesn't know where he's going most of the time. He's kind of just like walking around the map and just being like, oh, do I go here? I mean, I don't know. Like, can we look for something? No, like it just doesn't feel like he has direction in his play. And I really don't like that in a player. Why not Way? I mean, Way had a pretty bad playoffs and Gauntlet. He was like pretty flippy. Yeah, I mean, it just felt like you ban Vi away from him and he's just on Trundle. He's not going to do anything. Blabber. Considered Blabber. I think it's really hard to put a Western player on this list. I considered Blabber. I mean, like Blabber had good games. He had like kind of weird games as well. I mean, his team is like really far ahead a lot of the time. Sometimes when he makes mistakes, he's not punished as hard as he could be. I don't know. Like Blabber's my LCS GOAT. I'm like, am I going to say he's better than Canyon? No, I won't. But if you do, that's fine. Like, I think that's reasonable. Like, this 5th spot is pretty open. I mean, honestly, anything outside of this top 3 is pretty open. If you want to have like somebody like Inspired here, or you want to have like Blabber, or you still really rate like Owner, I'm okay with all that. Like, I think that's all reasonable. I just think you have to have this top 3 in any order. Well, actually, I shouldn't say in any order. You could put Peanut first. You could put Peanut last. You could put Peanut in between Kadavi and Tien. You cannot put Kadavi over Tien. As long as Tien is higher than Kadavi, you can put Peanut anywhere. Jankos had too rough of a playoffs, I think, to put him here. I think Jankos had way too rough of a playoffs. I mean, his finals were probably the worst. So when I was talking to Jankos, you know, like obviously we were doing the Pick'em show together. I was talking to Jankos and like, you know, I'm fucking flaming him. He's flaming me, whatever. He's like, man, I played like a prime IWillDominate in finals. One of the worst experiences of my entire life. That's what he told me. You'll get to hear that on the show. Like a prime IWillDominate. Just disgusting dog shit. All right, mid. If no Faker, you're trolling. Oh, I don't have Faker on my list. I guess I'm trolling. I mean, I think that Faker does certain things well. I feel like this meta was really bad for Faker. Pretty much, it just felt like if like he's just going to end up playing some playmaking champion into Chovy, and then Chovy's just going to outfarm him every single time. So, all right, number 1, Chovy. Number 1 mid laner in the world. I think that this is like, I think he's really, really good in this meta. The thing is that he plays Azir, which is like one of the 2 highest prio champions. He plays better than anyone else in the world. And I'm not sure how much of this will change, but Azir and Ahri are like his thing. Like if Chovy gets Ahri, if Chovy gets Azir, he's just going to like have control of mid lane the entire time. And there's not much roaming in this meta either. Like even when you play Ahri, it's more like you'll make plays with your team. It's not like you have to make the plays as much yourself. It's not as much of like a TF Galio type thing. I mean, I just think he's the best. Number 2. Ya goat. Yagao. Mr. Toothpaste himself. Is what Yagao means, by the way. Super solid. The things that I really like about him is his playmaking potential. It just felt like he was really on point with the way he wanted to make things happen. This guy is a fucking monster when it comes to like Silas, Ahri, and then apparently Zoe might come back into the meta. We'll see. But yeah, I mean, I think Yagao is he was just really on form. Like he had such a clear mind when it came to how to play out every single game. I thought his Rise picks like were solid too. Like he had like just a good read on everything. It just felt like everything clicked for him. I don't think he's as good as Chovy, but I think Yagao was playing it like his peak form, where he knew every situation that he was going to be in, he knew what he wanted to do. Oh, they picked this champion. Okay, well here we go like Rise, and we go Rise in and we try to like roam to like side lane. Oh, they went for this. Okay, well they go for like Ahri. Okay, well then I'll play like the other side of the matchup. I'm fine to play Azir into it and I can win the lane there. Oh, they gave me like Ahri into the side. Okay, I'll play this matchup fine as well. Like it just felt like every time he had such like a clear idea of how he wanted to play every game, which is a skill as a pro player. Just knowing all the picks you're going to play into, you're having your own priorities, having counters to like you know the niche counters to the picks that are being played. I don't know. I just think that that's really, really valuable. So I have Yagao highly rated in terms of his like grasp on the meta and his ideas behind how he wanted to play mid lane. Thought he was absolutely at the top. Just not as good as Chovy. I mean, Chovy essentially made no mistakes. Like he just played pretty flawlessly. All right, next up, I've got Mr. Knight himself. I have Knight himself. I think Knight was also good. He definitely had games where he was a main factor in his team winning, but I just didn't think that he was as good as Yagao in most of the games. Like he just let Yagao do what he wanted. He didn't have that control of mid lane that I would like to see from him. So I have Knight third. All right, next. This might be a little bit controversial. This might be slightly controversial here. I have Xiaohu over Scout. Even though he did lose to Scout, I just felt like Xiaohu was the one that was dictating that entire series. I think the one thing you could criticize for Xiaohu is like, it didn't feel like he had the same effect off Azir and Talia as he did on Azir and Talia. But like when RNG was winning these games, I have Xiaohu just like, I mean, he's just smurfing. This guy is just smurfing. And I just think his team was worse. Like, for example, if you give Xiaohu EDG's bot lane and you give Scout RNG's bot lane, I think that like Xiaohu is just going to be able to like look way better. Yeah, I think Xiaohu is just much better. Like a lot of people just forget how the games looked when RNG was winning them. Like look at like RNG versus EDG game 1. Like, okay, so we can just go through like the games when they were playing against each other. Here, Scout can't even play, and this is a matchup that like is supposed to be Azir favored. This is where Scout gets like to pick his Sylas. So Sylas is supposed to be like really strong. Talia again. Game is like just 1 again. Scout can't do anything. Xiaohu's all over the map. We'll look at game 3. You play the other side of the matchup once again. Like Xiaohu is like doing well. Like I really don't think that Scout played super well versus Xiaohu. There's just bot cap, bro. There's bot cap in every game. I'll show him losing. Yeah, I mean, I'm literally showing him losing. This is the game he lost. Let's see what happens here. Look at that, bro. Look at the prediction, bro. Look at the prediction here. I'm showing all the games. Don't worry. I'll show him losing. Just look at these, bro. And this is why I have Way super low. I felt like Way was just like lost in the series. It just felt like he didn't know where he was supposed to be. Canceled out of his E. Trying to E back to the turret. Dude, people really forgot these matches happened. I swear people forgot how Xiaohu looked into Scout. People just remember that Scout won. That's what people remember. Scout ended up winning. Oh, this is where breathe ins. What can he do, bro? What can he do? He's getting griefed. Nah, bro, stop disrespecting Xiaohu. Seriously, stop disrespecting Xiaohu. Dude, he's ahead every game though. Nah. Okay. We've seen enough. Nah, I defend my opinion. I think Xiaohu's just played better than Scout. I think they played against each other. They played 10 games against each other. I thought that Xiaohu, like when RNG won, Xiaohu was just like the best player in the game. And then when RNG lost, it's like not his fault that they're losing ever. So I don't know why, like what people want out of Xiaohu. Why does Scout get to be better than Xiaohu just because his team won? Down game for Xiaohu? I mean, dude, they literally like won the game. They won the game and then his teammates griefed and they like, what? You're saying that this is a down game for Xiaohu? Wait, this is a down game for Xiaohu? Wait, what? Why is this a down game for Xiaohu, bro? This game is just won. This game is won, but his team griefs. Way just griefs them. Wait, so this is the down game for Xiaohu? Where he's literally 4-0-4. Scout just can't play the game. He's just 1-4-1. Nah, it's criminal. It's a crime, bro. The more that I watch this, the more I feel like solid in my opinion. I don't see why Scout is better than Xiaohu here. Flandre just flanks them and they lose the game. Like they're getting flanked. The front line is trolling. Where's the Way ult? Oh wait, he already used it. He stopwatch as well here. No, I literally don't understand why anyone thinks that, like, the more that I watch this, I don't understand why people are so high on Scout and so low on Xiaohu. Okay, game 5. We'll look at all 5 games they just played against each other because they literally just played against each other. This game, like, nothing happens. This is just a game where like nothing happens the entire game and they just get outscaled. There's literally nothing happening the entire game, and they just lose the fight and they lose. They just got outdrafted. They lost the fight. They lost. They get reverse swept here. Like, sure, you could say that this game Scout played better, but I don't think he like on Xiaohu. Like, they just lost, bro. If you go into the first series, there's no way that Xiaohu got clapped close to as hard as Scout got clapped by Xiaohu in the second one. And then Jahu was just better in regular season. So, and then Jahu just won MSI in one spring. So it's like, where do we get the notion that Scout is just better? That's what I don't understand. Like, where does the Scout being better than Jahu come from? All right. Anyways, I've got Scout last. Scout is my last. All right. AD, Viper, number 1. Ruler next. I think these have to be your 1, 2. You can do any order here. I think Viper's the best player in the world. When I watch him, I'm like, there's nothing he is doing wrong. Like, he, in my opinion, has one of the worst supports on this list, which I think is like even more credit to the fact that Viper is like consistently good. Rookie, yeah, Rookie should be on my list. Rookie should be on my list going into Worlds when he's not playing at Worlds. 5-head. Jackie Love. Dude, Jackie Love did play well. He did have like good moments, but he had such bad moments. Like he had such game losing, like finals losing ints that it's so hard to put him like up here over the people that were just more consistent than him. Like I can't put Jackie Love over Hope, even if Jackie Love was slightly better in certain lanes. The fact that Jackie Love then goes on to like int like games massively, I think that is just too much of a sin as an AD carry. You cannot just ever int the entire fucking game. Next, I have Gala, somebody who's super underrated right now. And the reason why Gala is so underrated is because Gala is just worse than Viper right now. In this meta, Gala is just worse than Viper, and he only got to play into Viper. So like when Gala played against everyone else, I mean, he was smurfing for most of LPL, but then like he only got to play into Viper, who's the best, and he's just worse than Viper. So then people are really like low on Gala, but I think Gala's a fucking beast. Kaisa one trick, but he's not even a Kaisa one trick pony. Like he's literally not a Kaisa one trick. Like he was able to play a lot of like the carry lanes. I mean, he was able to play all the carry lanes into everyone who was not named Viper, but Viper was just better. Jackie Love is on my list, but I got Hope over him. So I think, look, I was thinking about what my AD carry tier list would be for LCK, and I would have Ruler and then Deft. But do I think Deft is better than Gala, Hope, Jackie Love? No, I don't. I mean, I don't even think Jackie Love fell off. I think Jackie Love was good. Like, he was really good most of the time, and then he had, like, just such massive ints that it's like he gets downgraded so much because none of the other AD carries on this list would ever int from those positions. Never. And that's literally one of the things I care most about on AD carry. Like when I look at AD carries, for me, so I think Core JJ had the opposite take where he like, and I mean, he's professional support, so you can take it for what it's worth. He likes AD carries that are like going to just like absolutely smash the lane, which is why he wanted to play with Hansama and then play like Jinx every single game. Just kidding. But the point is he thinks that AD carries that are like big, they just go in all the time are king. So he has like Jackie Love over Viper because of that. But for me, I actually view the opposite. I feel like AD carry is the role where I want perfection. I want good mechanics in team fights, never dying first. Like the less mistakes, the better. That's how I see an AD carry, like as a role in the game. So sure, I mean, if you're able to play super aggressive and also make very little mistakes, like Viper and Ruler, then I think you're absolutely like GOAT tier. Like having like big highs, or like sorry, high highs and low lows is to me a bad trait for an AD carry. That's more of like something that's acceptable as like a jungler, because sure, like if you have a low as a jungler, maybe that means you didn't hit all your timings, but you're not gonna like ruin the game. Where if like an AD carry dies, like you just ruin the entire game. Comp, I don't have Comp. I don't think so. I think Comp played. Like, if Comp played the same way he did in finals the entire playoffs, I might have had him, but I didn't think Comp had, like, an amazing regular season, and I think the other, like, playoffs, like, he had some shaky series. I think Comp, outside of the first, outside of the last series to G2, he was just, like, dying a lot, which is something that I just flamed. I don't like when people die a lot. He would just die in really weird positions. Like, whenever they would siege, he would just be hitting the turret when he couldn't hit the turret, and then he would die. I think his laning in some of the early series, like when they played against Mad, for example, into Unforgiven, I mean, there's some lanes he played well. He played like the Caitlyn lane, I think, that they played at the end, like the Caitlyn Lux. I believe that was into Mad. He played that lane well, but then like when he was on the Lucian Nami, he wasn't doing super well until like finals, I guess. Like I don't think that Comp played as well as he did in finals for the rest of the playoffs. And then I think like just in general, you're playing against much weaker competition. I mean, yeah, he's playing against Upset and Flocked, whereas like Hope and Jackie Love are playing into like Viper and Gala. Honorable mentions for AD carry. I mean, my honorable mentions, the two that I would have here, I mean, I guess it would be 3, right? My honorable mentions would be Deft, Berserker, and Comp. That's it. Dude, I don't know. I think Gumayushi just played like every time I'm watching Gumayushi, he just seems like he's so ready to end the game. Like he just looks like he has no idea when he's in danger and when he's not in fights. So I really was just like not happy with Guma's performance at all. All right, last one, Jackie Love. Obviously, he entered finals. I just think that, you know, what does that matter? Right? Like, what, like, does that mean, like, how much does that matter? Does that matter more than everything he did the entire, like, if we're only rating finals performance and we're saying that that's like twice as important as everything else, then this is where I'd rate him. If we're saying that finals performance is like the only thing you're considering, and then you just like, you're like, oh, this is 10 times as important as like regular season and playoffs leading up to it, then I guess you can go like even lower on JackeyLove. But just in terms of his overall split, this guy was really fucking good in the overall split. Like pentas left and right, smurfing it. Like one of the hard carries, one of the reasons why top was considered favorites, one of the reasons why they were first, etc. And yeah, I mean, he just ran it down in crucial moments in the final series. He had like a rough game 1, like him getting caught and using his summoners on Lucian, like destroyed game 1, and game 5 he had 2 massive ints. Outside of that, he was playing like well throughout the regular season. So this is kind of the way I see it. If JackeyLove played as like, if he played as well as he did in semifinals, in the finals, he would have just been easy third here. But because of him running it down, like in finals, like he just drops. All right, next support. We move on. First, missing. This guy is really insane, and I think in Enchanter meta, it's very good for missing. He can play engage supports well, but I feel like his like Enchanters, I mean, he just wasn't making any mistakes, bro. Like this guy was a beast. Next up, Lehens. I like Lehens a lot. I mean, I think you could argue for him being number 1. I just think that like if you consider like who he's laning with Ruler, like there was times where I was like, is Lehens that good on playing the Enchanters? Is he as good as like other people at playing the Enchanters? But then at the same time, he has the Enchanter counters, so he has like the Singed into Yuumi, so that's really good. But I just have missing above him. I mean, I think this is arguable. I think that these two have to be top 2 though. Whereas Keria is on my list. He is not top 2. I thought Lehens was just better than him when it mattered. I think Lehens kind of just ran him in finals, and yeah, I don't know. I think that this is also a bad meta for Keria. I mean, he is getting his Nautilus banned every game, right? If I remember correctly from LCK finals, they're still banning Mako's Nautilus every time, which I guess like he should get some credit for, but it's not really like, oh, you take away his like Nautilus because he's so good on it, and that he's just gonna like 1v9 the game, and everything else he plays really well on too. It feels like he's better at that than other things. So Mako has to be here. Not for me. I think Mako just had like probably his worst year ever. Yeah, I think Mako is just not playing well right now, so I don't have him here. Next up, I have Mark. Super solid player. Still able to play the gauge supports. Probably the best Leona player in the world. For me, I rate Mark super highly. He's got to play with this psychopath JackeyLove. Half the reason JackeyLove gets ahead is because Mark plays lane extremely well. So I have Mark here. I debated a little bit of having Ming over Mark, but I think that's just like too historical. That's not based off my own criteria. So if I'm looking at mainly summer, and then like maybe I could say Ming potential going into Worlds is higher. Maybe he wins out there, but Mark in summer was just better than Ming. Ming is not a great Enchanter player. I think Mark is maybe slightly worse than Ming he's slightly worse than Ming on all the engaged supports. Well, mainly Nautilus. But then I think if you go like to other things, like if you go to the Enchanters, I think that this is just not a good Ming meta. Ming is kind of like Hillsong. I have Ming next. I still think Ming is solid. I just think that the meta was bad for him. He could play Enchanters, but it's not Ming on Enchanters, right? Like when Ming is like if this was a Nautilus meta, or like the MSI meta, I have Ming over Keria, right? I have him as the best support in the entire world. But this is just not the meta, and I don't think that he was great. He wasn't exceptional on the champions that he was playing for the most part. I got Keria 5th. I still think Keria is good. So I think the part that I give Keria credit for is that Keria is kind of like Keria is like the opposite of Viper, whereas like Viper plays with a support that's been running it down. Like Mako has been shit recently. Keria plays with an 80 carry who's running it down. So I think that harms Keria's ability to really be effective, especially in this type of meta. I still think Keria is extremely good though. I mean, like, dude, like, let's be honest. Keria and Gumi, they got clapped in finals. Like, they got fucking clapped. It's hard to, like, have Keria above this. Put him higher because he's, like, so I could say Keria is, like, 4th. I can't put him above Mark, man. I can't put him above Mark. I could say Keria, like, I think this is arguable. I think there's, like, some things that are arguable, right? Like, Lehens over Missing, sure. I don't know what Missing did wrong to not be first when he's like playing so well every single game. Like he's playing, when he plays engaged supports, he's always on point. Like think about, this is something that I always think about. Supports normally get caught a lot, right? Like supports are normally just kind of inters just in general, that's kind of just a rule of playing support. Like you're just gonna int at times, like walk into a place you shouldn't walk, and try to put down vision. Missing never does stupid shit. He never does stupid shit. He doesn't play Singe, and it is true. If you value the Singe counter pick into Yuumi because Yumi's so high prio, and you're like, oh well, Hen's like completely alters the way you have to play the game with his Singe pick. I think that's like a fair point. If you value that as like one of your you're like he is a counter to super meta champion, that's what puts him above. I'm fine with that. Like you could say Lehens is first. I think that's reasonable, but I think that missing just does nothing wrong, bro. Why is Gala so high on your list? I don't remember him being that insane this playoffs, because I think Gala was like literally somebody who was competing for like best AD carry in the world until he went up against Viper. And I think that Viper is just better than Gala. I don't think that anyone is as good as Viper, right? So like that's something that I'm heavily factoring in. And when you saw Gala then play later on, you saw Gala play into people not named Viper. Like he was still good into light. Like he's still just the same solid player. I think that the meta wasn't great for him. And his playoffs, like he just played 10 games into, it was 10 games, right? 2 5-game series into EDG. Yeah, I mean, he just played 10 games into Viper, bro. How'd you rate Trimmy's good? Trimmy's good. He could maybe be on the support list. I mean, I think that the bottom of these lists are flexible. Like you could put Trimby over Keria, I guess, if you want. I personally don't, but I like Trimby. Berserker possible top 5. Yeah, I mean, if you want to put him there, you could put him there. I mean, he played really well. I think it's hard for me to like see the level of competition that like Berserker has to beat FBI and Huhi is like griefing every game, bro. He's laning against FBI, Huhi, and Huhi is trying to lose, bro. So it's so hard for me to see a player that I don't respect as like a really good player losing in a finals and then being like the other guy is like that good, because it's like hard to shadow box them against like one of like the better AD carries. So like let's say I think Berserker and Sven are going into a lane versus Jackie Love Mark. Like I don't think Berserker and Sven are winning that ever.